You know, it's pretty wild how a single TV episode can create ripples that we still feel decades later. Today, we're going to dive into one of those moments, all through the eyes of actress Laura Dern, and see how one incredibly brave choice ended up changing her career and, honestly, our culture forever. So I want you to just imagine this for a second. You're at a huge awards show, and out of nowhere, a choir starts singing a song all about you. That's literally what happened to Laura Dern. And her reaction? Well, as she put it, she just had to surrender to the moment and start enjoying it. So the setting for this was the 2020 Independent Spirit Awards. The Gay Men's Chorus of Los Angeles gets up and performs this amazing song about iconic gay moments in film. And it all ends with them just chanting her name over and over. Laura Dern. It was this huge public moment that basically cemented her status as a true queer icon. But that begs the question, right? How did we even get here? I mean, how does an actress who we know from Jurassic Park and Marriage Story become this beloved icon to an entire community, all because of one guest spot on a sitcom from like 30 years ago? Well, that's the story we're going to unpack. See, her journey to becoming what you might call an accidental icon wasn't some master plan. Nope. It all started with a single decision to stand by a friend who was about to do something unbelievably brave. And it all goes back to this legendary two-part television event. It was so secretive and controversial at the time that it was given this surprisingly innocent code name, the Puppy Episode. Okay, so let's set the scene. The year is 1997. The sitcom is Ellen, and the show is about to air this episode where the main character, Ellen Morgan, finally says the words, "I'm gay." Now you have to understand, this wasn't just some plot twist. This was a huge television first. No lead character on a major U.S. network show had ever been openly gay before. And who was right there at the absolute center of this historic moment? Laura Dern. She played a character named Susan, who was this cool, confident, out gay woman who kind of sparks Ellen's whole journey of self-discovery. Her role wasn't just a quick cameo. She was the actual catalyst for the entire story. What's really fascinating here is just the sheer star power that got involved. I mean, this was no small indie project. You had Oprah Winfrey playing Ellen's therapist, plus people like Billy Bob Thornton and Demi Moore. We're talking major names putting their weight behind this, which really tells you how significant this moment was supposed to be. But that hope, that this huge, star-studded, historic moment would be met with this big celebration, yeah, that was shattered fast. The backlash was immediate and it was severe. Laura Dern put it perfectly herself. She said the assumption was that you do this thing and it's going to be a beautiful celebration, that the culture is ready. Instead, as she said, the world just went, no, no, no. And that no wasn't just people disagreeing. It was loud and it was dangerous. The studio was getting bomb threats. Major advertisers, we're talking big household names, pulled all their support from the show. For years after that episode, Dern said that anyone who was involved needed major security. This was a serious, real-world threat. The professional fallout was just as bad. The show that had made television history, that had been a huge ratings success, was canceled just one season later. Ellen DeGeneres lost her entire show over this. And the punishment didn't stop with Ellen. Laura Dern has said she was punished as well. She couldn't get work for a period of time after that episode aired. So this act of solidarity, of supporting her friend, came at a very real cost to her own career. But here's the thing about history. It has a funny way of reevaluating moments like this. And the very same act that caused all that backlash is now seen as this massive turning point, something with a truly lasting cultural impact. It's like the whole perception did a complete 180. What was met with public backlash back then is now considered a cultural milestone. The career punishment has totally transformed into queer icon status. The show getting canceled is now seen as the price that had to be paid to inspire an entire generation. And those bomb threats? Well, now they're just remembered as proof of how much bravery it really took. And this right here is why it all matters so much. Years later, at that same awards show, one of the members of the chorus went up to Laura Dern. He told her, "I was a kid who didn't even know what was going on. I saw that episode." It's just proof that even if the wider culture wasn't quite ready, that message reached the exact people who needed to hear it the most. And that really gets to the heart of what real cultural change is, right? Laura Dern nails it with this definition. It's not about doing what's already popular or what's already accepted. She says, culture is doing it when nobody's caught up. So even with all the threats and the career fallout, when Laura Dern looks back on that time, she doesn't focus on the negative stuff. She actually remembers it as something deeply personal and, well, profound. When Dern describes the actual filming of that scene, gosh, it's just so powerful. She talks about it not as an actor just saying lines, but as a friend witnessing this life-altering moment. She remembers holding Ellen's hands, and they were shaking as she looked right into her eyes and said those words, "I'm gay," for the very first time out loud, on camera, with everyone watching. And for her, that's the real takeaway. She calls that moment one of the most incredible experiences of my life. Not because she was on a famous TV show or for any of the glamour, but because she had the privilege, the luxury, as she puts it, of being right there, supporting someone in a moment of pure, profound, personal bravery. And that just leaves us with this really fascinating question to think about. I mean, the puppy episode was a huge risk, and it took decades to be fully seen as the milestone it was. So what's happening right now, today, that might seem controversial or maybe ahead of its time, but that future generations are going to look back on as a moment that really changed everything?